a professional environment, so I need you to throttle it back with the cookies. Thank you. Just saying. Hey, everybody. It's Ketwalski here, checking in with a new movie discussion, and I am joined by Trek on the Tube, a.k.a. Sean, who...
Hey, everybody!
That's mocking me. That's hurtful. Listen, that's how I get the attention grabber. I gotta go like this. I gotta reach into it, like I'm coming at your screen. For those of you who have 3D monitors, they get a real treat. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so here we are to talk about Avengers: Infinity War. Not talking about Trek, which is weird. Two Star Trek YouTubers getting together to talk about something completely different. So here we go. So I guess we're going to talk about a bunch of different things from the movie. So I'm going to go ahead and say spoilers. I don't know why you'd be watching a review breakdown video anyways if you haven't seen the movie. But yeah, so spoilers. We're going to be talking about all the things that happened, things that we liked, things that we didn't like, and what we hope to see in, I guess, Infinity War Part 2. It's not called Infinity War Part 2 anymore, but, you know, whatever they're calling it now. I don't know. Thanos' revenge. I don't know. So, Sean, what did you think of... I almost said Star Trek Infinity War.
Star Trek? Yeah. That's interesting.
That's right. Crossover. What did you think of Marvel's, Disney's comic book movie Infinity War Avengers 4 Part 1?
I found it bold and brave because it is I mean well, they self-promoted it as the what do they call it? The most ambitious crossover of all time.
I mean,
which is, I mean, it's a fair enough statement. I was a little underwhelmed, but that's probably because I've been overhyping myself for the past, years. And it is a part 1, even if the both movies are going to have different titles now. It is a part 1 of the story, so there's not that much resolution. But I did enjoy it. I went to see it twice.
Yep.
So once in 3D and once in 2D, and I mean, I'm not a fan of 3D. It's just that it came out the first week in 3D, so I had to see it. 2D isn't much better. The CGI feels realer. Everything feels less fake when it's in 2D for some reason. So yeah.
I'm with you.
There you go. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah, so I saw the movie twice as well. Opening weekend and then once like a week later. I actually liked it better on my second viewing than I did on my first.
Same.
Yeah, so I thought it was good. Honestly, you kind of hit it right on the money when you consider the fact that we, as fans, not you and I, but as fans in general, have anticipated this movie for the last 10 years. I don't think they could have. I honestly don't know of any movie that they could have made that would have exceeded my expectations. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I think, for this situation where it's just you have way too much lead time, so it's always going to be a little bit of a letdown. But for a movie that's just shy of a 3-hour runtime, it's got good editing. It doesn't feel 3 hours. Pads through everything pretty well. It does a good job with keeping everybody involved, but they cut out quite a few other ancillary characters that I assume we'll get to see later on in Part 2. We also spent a lot less time with certain characters I would have liked to expend more time with others. I feel like the way that they edited it was to focus in on Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Thor, because those, I think, are the more popular properties right now. So we spent the majority of time with those heroes as opposed to any of the other ones.
On the Guardians level, it's excusable in the sense that there's only one left, technically, going into Part 2. Rocket's the only Guardian.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and then there's Mantis, I suppose, which is like a kind of a Guardian.
No, Mantis died. She's gone.
Mantis is gone?
Yeah, the other one that was left was...
so it's Nebula, which isn't really a Guardian. It's just like randomly Nebula and Iron Man on a planet. Don't know how that's going to work out, but...
Yeah, that was really weird. So real quick, though. So my overall impressions were it was very good, and I will judge the entirety of Infinity War once we see Part 2, because I feel like we have only seen the first part of this movie. But
yeah,
overall, it was as good as it's going to be when you have 50 actors that need screen time, and you have all this action, and you have a plot to get through, and it was as good as it was gonna get, in my opinion. But yeah, so the end. We'll go straight to the end first, I guess. I don't
Straight
know
to the
why.
end.
Yeah,
Okay.
straight to the end. So yeah, I don't know, like Nebula and Iron Man. I thought for sure it was going to be I thought for sure it was going to be Peter Quill and Iron Man. I thought everybody else was going to die and it was just going to be Star-Lord and Iron Man and they were going to have to figure it out. But I guess it kind of makes sense because if you have Star-Lord and Iron Man, those characters are so very similar on
Mm.
screen at least, not maybe not in the comics, but on screen they come across as, snarky, sarcastic kind of macho men that, they're the men with the plan.
And then
So I
Doctor Strange is kind of another version of Iron Man as well.
correct, and they played on that quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, I think that way, it makes sense that they would leave him there because you can't leave him there with Drax. That's not going to work. He's a useless character. Funny, but not really for the next parts of the movie.
He got a
Same thing
lot of
with
screen time
Drax. Got a
in
lot of
this.
screen time, but he got a lot of laughs though. He got a lot of
Yeah, no, fair
laughs.
enough, fair enough. He got that moment where he's just standing still. But I mean that the first time I saw the movie, that stood out to me. Like
Yeah.
the entire movie felt very fast, very everything was cut, really quickly paced, and then there was just this moment standing like a pillar in the middle of Drax just moving slowly. I was like, why does he get so much screen time? And then like Hulk and Scarlett Johansson only get like a look.
Right. Yeah.
Black Widow.
So let's not get into what we missed yet, because that's like right at the top of my list of the Hulk and Nat situation. That's like right at the top of the list. But so at the end of the film, we're set up where it makes sense that he's with Nebula because everybody else doesn't need to be there. You can't have Peter Parker, Spider-Man there, because he can kind of get played out a little bit. And you need someone that's going to be able to help Iron Man kind of essentially get back to Earth or what. I don't know what the hell is going to happen. So it makes sense with Nebula, even though it was kind of weird, but it made kind of sense. And then you're left essentially with the original Avengers. That's essentially who's left is the original Avenger team,
Yeah.
plus Nebula and Rocket. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. Um, I was I'm curious to hear what you think about this, but I was okay with a lot of the deaths up until they killed off Peter Quill and uh, T'Challa, the Black Panther guy. Because I was like, maybe some of these will be permanent. Maybe we'll see how the Marvel Universe continues on without these characters being a part of their cinematic universe, and this is how they're gonna bring in more characters to kind of replace these because they actually did die. But once they nixed Black Panther, dude, I was like, they're gonna reverse this whole thing. There's no
Yeah.
way this movie made $1 billion, over $1 billion. He's a flagship character. He's a black character, and it was this huge pinnacle of race relations, and it was all the stuff surrounding this movie. And for them to just kind of like he's the one that just dies, it's like, oh, okay, you guys are just gonna redo, you guys are gonna undo all of this now. Like that's how I
Yeah.
felt when I saw that. How did you feel?
Um, considering we had, I'm gonna say real deaths, Loki in the beginning, um, Vision goes gray, that kind of stuff. The moment he snapped his fingers and people started disappearing, I didn't believe it for 1 second. I was like, okay, so these guys, this is a way to get rid of people so that they have a less crowded movie in the second, like in
Right.
the second part. And then when you take away Phase 3 characters like Spider-Man, Black Panther, you realize that yeah, they're trying to keep characters from Phase 1 so that they can give them like a final goodbye. I feel like they're gonna kill off Cap for real, but they want to give him like a big kind of Yahoo in the second part.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, and I think that's also probably why we didn't get the Nat and Hulk, Bruce Banner kind of reconciliation piece because there just wasn't time for it in this movie. Because you're right,
Yeah.
the Drax thing kind of slowed it down, but if we had that emotional scene at that point in the movie, it would have dragged it down. It would have dragged the pace down a little bit because we had that emotional scene at the beginning with Vision and Scarlet Witch where they were having their thing, which I think was really great because it made Vision more of a sympathetic character right at the beginning because before this he's always been kind of a weird guy that tried to cook, I don't know, baba gushka and with the paprika and he didn't know how to do it and like he was this kind of weird guy and But
You
now
you
they,
notice they completely dropped the Scarlet Witch accent, by the way.
oh yeah, that
But
was,
Paprushka just doesn't exist anymore.
yeah,
It's
she's that accent's gone.
like if you want to live in the United States, you need to have an American accent. That's
That's
what
right.
Iron Man said. So
That's
if you want
right.
to if you want
Yeah,
to live in my tower,
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, if you want to live on the compound, you got to use an American accent.
Oh, that's right. It's
So
the compound now.
that's right. Yeah. So I like the fact that they did that, but it made sense at the beginning of the movie before really everything picked up. So I think you're right. Yeah, I think in the next one we'll see that the original Phase 1 Avengers form back up, and we will then get to see more of a conclusion of those characters as a whole. Um, but I was still disappointed that it wasn't in the movie. I really was. I really like when they met up at the compound before they left to go to back to Wakanda. I thought we were going to see that scene where they maybe talk about what happened or something. I don't know. I
Mm.
also found it very jarring the fact that Hawkeye wasn't in the movie. They had like a throwaway line about his family or whatever, but
Okay, so as consolation, because I too was very see Ant-Man. It was okay. He's not in the movie. Whatever. We're getting an Ant-Man movie following this, so
yeah,
I'm fine with that.
yeah,
Hawkeye is to me very very important in the Avengers, especially in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, much more than people kind of realize because they always end up going to his house,
right.
getting his help, etc. And it just felt kind of weird that he wasn't there. Um, but apparently he's going to have a major role in the next one.
Which
Um,
I mean, I'm fine with.
they're gonna go and get him because I mean they've got no one left. They need more help,
Right.
and maybe with a little luck, I mean I don't know. Maybe with a little luck, he's gonna get some upgrades tech wise, um, so that they can actually bring him in space or something. Um,
Yeah, maybe he'll shoot like laser arrows or something. I don't know, but
oh, that'd be awesome.
that would be he gets a jetpack.
Give him like the Yondu kind of
Oh, the Yondu arrow? Yeah, that
yeah.
would be great. He would be deadly with that. But so the reason why it bothered me was that whole sequence at the end of Age of Ultron where Scarlet Witch's Quicksilver, he died and he kind
Mm.
of like committed to protecting Scarlet Witch. Like, why wouldn't he show up when her life is no kidding on this line? Like, he showed up in Civil War just to bust her out of the compound, which was a very low stakes kind of situation. And
I
why
feel like
he
he did
wouldn't.
that because he was asked to by the team. It was Cap that asked him, right?
Cap asked, so in the movie, Cap asked him essentially again why Hawkeye's important. Hawkeye's the one that brought the whole team together to support Cap during Civil War. But he says like Hawkeye when he gets to the compound, she says something to the effect of "Why are you doing this?" or whatever, and he's like, "I made a promise to somebody" or something like that, implying that he's talking about Quicksilver
Mm.
because Quicksilver saved his life and now he feels responsible for Scarlet Witch. So it made no sense to me why when her life is actually on the line and the whole planet is on the line why he wouldn't show up and try to participate in that. And I don't know, maybe in the next one we'll get to see maybe explaining it like maybe he was on his way there, but and maybe he got, diverted or he couldn't get there in time or what. Um
I just feel like he's with his family because he's got a wife and children to take care of, and I get this feeling that they disappeared. They died in the finger snap, and so he's
oh,
gonna be
yeah.
he's gonna be rolling up like, what the fuck's going on? Like my family's gone. What did you guys do?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually would be a great impact is if his kids disappeared and his wife stayed.
Oh
And
God.
now he's on like a revenge mission. Because I guess he like takes in the comics he takes up like this mantle of like something called like the Rogue or something like that, where he goes on like a revenge mission and he's wearing like a black yellow suit, um, instead of his purple black. And so I don't know if they're gonna include that in the new movie as well, but I don't know. It was kind of like I get it. Like the movie was bloated, and he'll have a bigger part in the next one. They'll explain why he wasn't there, and I guess we'll see what's up. So I don't know. We'll see what's up. So moving on. So another thing I liked the fact that Red Skull popped up. I've been wondering what happened to Red Skull. Captain America is my favorite Marvel superhero, so I've been wondering what the hell happened to Red Skull since the original Captain America movie, and I was like, I just assume we're never going to go back to him. So just throwing him in there was a little weird, but I was like, okay, like it didn't really bother me. Like I was like, all right, this is cool. He's just stuck here,
Yeah.
floating around on the Soulstone planet, just doing his own thing.
So Captain America is also my favorite hero of the MCU. And I mean, to a lot of people's disagreement, the first Avenger is one of my favorites. I think the villain is just amazing. The Red Skull is just,
He's a
and
great villain. Yeah.
it was a little. He didn't feel just pushed in there like we need a character floating somewhere. So I mean, why does he fly? But
I don't know. That doesn't matter. Yeah.
he's been there for like since what 1940, 1945 or something.
Yeah.
So he's been there for quite a while. So any number of things could happen. Maybe they'll go over this in Captain Marvel or something. But I was just happy to see him. Honestly, I was just happy to see him, even if it's not the same actor. But
It's not. But honestly, when you see
I
up, like the
I
whole
wouldn't
thing,
have I wouldn't have guessed. I know some people noticed that it wasn't his voice. I didn't. I think he does a very good impression. I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah, the guy who they got, whose name I already forgot, and I'm sorry for that, but
Oh, he's Aaron from The Walking Dead. If you guys know that. But,
yeah, I don't watch The Walking Dead. I'm sorry.
well,
Yeah, that's
he's
another
he's
conversation.
a very good actor. He has spoilers. His companion dies in The Walking Dead.
Mm.
Oh well, turns, and it was probably one of the only gripping scene in the past seasons.
Yeah,
they're not even
reason
main characters, but
yeah, I got you. Yeah, no, he did a great job of impersonating Hugo Weaving, who was doing a German accent as the Red Skull. He did a great job doing that, and I thought he did a great job. I thought that was a cool little
and
Easter
so moving
egg thing.
forward, if they were to reuse Red Skull in any way, it would not be Hugo Weaving. It would be him.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving has gone on record many times of saying he hates these kinds of comic book movies and these big blockbusters. That's why he also stopped doing the voice of Megatron and stuff. But that's a conversation for another day. I don't know what his problem is, but I don't know. He just likes paychecks, I guess. But
he's not good with what's it called? The prosthetics as well.
Yeah.
But then everything's CG now.
Right.
So I suppose you could work around that. But
True, yeah. But the prosthetic face that he had in Captain America 1 was awesome. So I thought the look was great. But
I don't think we'll be seeing Red Skull anytime soon in the MCU. It's just kind of like he's floating around. I mean, what's he doing now? He's just bored on this planet. He's got no stone to protect, but
yeah, honestly, I think that's not to go off on a tangent about Red Skull, but I think we just saw the end of the Red Skull. It happened off screen. He was attached to the Soul Stone. I think the Soul Stone was what was keeping him alive and on that planet. Now that the Soul Stone was removed, I think he is gone. I think he's just gone now.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
I was trying to think whether he disappeared with the finger snap, but then I thought a being like that wouldn't necessarily be affected by the finger snap.
Right, yeah. I agree.
I mean, does that count as life? He's just...
Yeah, I think he was
present.
I think he was literally, like, his spirit was just attached to the Soul Stones, and now that it's off that planet and has been taken, I think he's just gone. Which I'm fine with. I really am. I'm okay with that. At least I found out a little bit of what the hell happened.
Well, I mean, he got a fitting end, I suppose, to being a horrible person. He was exiled for many, many, many years.
It's funny you say that because on the second viewing, after the first viewing, I was just like jazzed because it was, Red Skull, yeah. But on the second viewing, I almost felt a little bit sympathetic to him because I'm like, yeah, he was a D-bag and he's an evil villain, but he's been stuck on this planet all by himself, basically leading people to their doom. Like, that sucks.
He's basically a super Nazi. That's the thing. He's like,
right.
So
right.
You can't really.
I know.
I
know. They did a good job of making me feel bad for the super Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, he's literally red. So I mean.
Right. Yeah, he's evil. Is all get. So yeah. So it was pretty good. So speaking about that scene though, so something that was weird for me, and I picked up on this both times I watched the movie, and I'm curious to see if you picked it up. When that whole sequence with, Drax and he was chewing the chips and all that stuff, but that whole sequence was about Gamora making Peter promise that if she were to be captured by Thanos, he would kill her. Because she said that what she knows is putting her life in jeopardy. Essentially, she knew the location of the Soul Stone, is what she was talking about.
Yeah, she had found like a map and just read the map and.
Right, memorized the map. I assumed that she felt like her life was essentially forfeit because of what the map was and all that stuff like that. I assumed that was because she knew that the only way for Thanos to get the Soul Stone for himself was he was going to have to kill Gamora himself. I assumed that, like when she was making that implication, like that's why she was saying, "Oh, my life is in danger. I will die if he finds out the information that I know." I thought she was implying heavily that she knew the only way to get it was to sacrifice something that he loves, which was her. So when they're standing there on the ridge, I thought that that's what was going to happen. Like Thanos was coming to the realization of what was happening, but she was already aware of it. But then she goes on this really weird, like, rubbing his face in the dirt kind of thing.
Slightly cringy mockery there.
No, super cringy. It was super weird, and it was very uncomfortable. It didn't really work, and
the fake laughing, I didn't really like that.
Yeah, very weird, and that's why I say, like, when I watched it, like I said, twice, both times it was super cringy, and I just don't understand why they wouldn't have bothered to just write that. Like, it practically wrote itself, and it would have been actually more emotionally impactful if she was just standing there already knowing what her fate was. But instead, they had this weird mockery scene that didn't really work well.
I didn't pick up on that at all. That she like, I didn't get that idea at all that she knew that she was already dead. I just kind of got the feeling that if Thanos figured out that she had lied, he was going to kill her, and that was it. And so she was scared on that level. And then again, if she were to share the information to Peter Quill or something, then she's putting other people's lives in danger. She can't share the information to anyone else. But then she told Nebula.
Who apparently has the ability to record every conversation.
There's like a Google Glass installed in her head, so that's fine. Yeah, that was okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's interesting to hear that you took it a different way. That was the way I took it. Yeah, so
I didn't like the scene where she's mocking Thanos. Also because it feels so, I don't know how to say it, fake or manufactured. It's obvious he loves her and that he's going to have to sacrifice her. And it's just stupid that a character like that wouldn't understand that. Even if it is concerning herself, she should have understood it. I mean, if fucking Flying Red Skull can pick up on that, then
Flying Red Skull.
Exactly, right?
The tears are not for him, the child. Yeah. Oh, thanks.
There are no flags in the future.
Yeah, there are no flags in the future. If you cut off one head, two more shall take its place. Yeah. All right.
God damn it. Anyway, so if he can pick up on that, then she can too.
We picked up on it immediately as the audience. As soon as he got to that edge, you knew before anybody even said anything. You're like, she's going over that fucking edge. Like, she's done. Like, this is what's gonna happen.
But maybe it was kind of one of those moments where they wanted to drag it out a little to have you thinking, are they really gonna kill her? Are they really gonna kill her? But then Zoe Saldana is already slated for Guardians 3, so I mean, in the world that we live in, then it could be lies. They could be lying.
They could be lying.
Because that's what they do now.
They do lie. These studios are facetious in order to protect their intellectual properties and surprises. But I don't know. Yeah, so we're kind of inching up towards it, so we might as well sink our teeth into it. Let's just talk about Thanos' character as a whole. This movie, I think, could just have been retitled Thanos and Friends, Thanos and Others, because we spent a lot of the time with Thanos in a good way. Like, I liked Thanos.
Thanos and those guys?
Yeah, Thanos and the others.
Oh, and the Black Order, because no one remembers them.
Right. And them, and others.
And those three people plus Ebony Moore, essentially.
Right. So, I think that Thanos is kind of slotted up straight up to being the top tier Marvel villain that they've ever had, one of the top tiers. I think we understood him as a character better, and I liked a lot of the interactions he had with Gamora in like a lot of weird ways. Like, you kind of understood, like, I don't agree with it, but you kind of understood, like, his logic to him made perfect sense, and he knew he had to do this. And the sequences he has with Gamora are like terrifying and violent, but also like loving and caring.
Mm.
And I picked up on this the second time. A lot of the dialogue and words that Thanos uses in the movie, Gamora also says, like the same exact words in a lot of different ways. And I thought that was interesting because it was really showing the fact that she was raised by this guy, and if she had picked up on a lot of his own character traits and idioms and different different styles of talking and moving and like even when they went into the cave talking about the Red Skull scene again, like I noticed this the second time, like when they walked into the cave and he comes floating down, Red Skull does, like Thanos kind of like he stands in front of Gamora and kind of like shields her, like he's genuinely concerned for her
Yeah.
safety, almost as if on instinct. um, and it's kind of it's a weird sick relationship, but it was interesting to see those kind of touching things that they added in there to show that it's not just some guy who wants to just conquer the galaxy. Like when he literally said, like, I just want to do this and then I'm gonna go sit essentially alone on this planet in isolation for the rest of time. And he fucking did it. Like he got this sweet beach house and he just sat there. Like
Yeah,
he's like,
it looks like that place from Oblivion with Tom Cruise.
right, the end. Yeah, I expected Tom Cruise to come out. Tom Cruise's clones. Um,
Hey.
but it was like he doesn't want to rule the galaxy. He's not trying to kill the people for no reason. He's just a guy who thinks that this is the right decision, and I don't agree with it, but in my opinion, they do enough of a good job in the film to show his justification and understanding. Like
Mm.
especially when we spend most of the time of the end fight sequence on his dead planet because they didn't listen. So he feels guilty because they didn't listen. He wasn't able to do what he thought was right, which he knows would have saved them, but now he's trying to prevent that from happening. And it's interesting to hear all that stuff and kind of understand him. And we got to spend a lot of time with him. Like I could have spent more time with Thanos. Like the scenes with him and Gamora on the ship and on the Soulstone planet, I thought were great. I thought we could have spent even more time with those characters and seeing how they went.
Yeah, well, so I kind of knew that they were doing this because they had said that they were going to do, like, it's a Thanos movie. It was kind of like we're going to follow Thanos collecting the gems. So I was kind of expecting what they did going into the movie. I'm okay, so I'm not as much a fan of the Gamora Thanos scenes, but then I can't help but think that I get the same feeling with Gamora Thanos as I got from Vision and Scarlet Witch. I love the fact that we spent time on those characters, and I loved how deep their relationship is. But I feel like we could have seen more of that before Infinity War came along. If we had seen more of kind of Thanos and Gamora's relationship as father and daughter before we got to Infinity War, it would have had more impact. And same thing with Vision and Scarlet Witch. They haven't really been together as a couple
Yeah.
on screen, and I think if they had just integrated that somehow in some movie in some way before we got to Infinity War, then it would have been better for me.
No, I agree with you 100% there. I mean, and I think almost as if the
I'm trying to figure out what movie they could have done it in, but they couldn't. Like,
I mean, they could have snuck it in some places, even more into Civil War if they wanted to, especially for Scarlet Witch and Vision. They did a little bit of it, but they could have done more. Um, but it's almost as if the creative team, the Russo brothers, kind of recognized that as well, and I think that's why they had Paul Bettany actually in the movie, as opposed to it just being Vision at the beginning, to show a bit more of a human side so that we can connect to him and he doesn't just look like a plastic action figure. And you get to actually see them like in their hotel together, and he has like this cute scene at the beginning where he's like stumbling through the words of trying to say that he loves her, and and it's like they're trying to make him more human even though he's clearly not, but they're literally having him appear as a human on screen in order to create that kind of almost press upon the audience that there's a real love and connection here, because you're right, they haven't really established that up to that point. They did a good job with it, but I think it could have been more impactful if they had spent more time with that leading up
I
to it.
think the Russo brothers did a very good job in this movie. It's not the movie that I'm criticizing in this point.
Yeah,
It's more like I would have loved to see that more of their relationship before the movie. And
yeah.
so
In the ten
Gamora
years,
being the daughter of Thanos,
right?
same thing. It would have been interesting to maybe in the first Guardians, you hear about it, they kind of explain it, they don't go too much in depth into it, and then um in the second Guardians, it's all about Peter Quill and his father,
Right,
and then Thanos isn't even present in that one.
right. Which
Um,
was, yeah, I think
but
was a
then
missed
I
opportunity.
think
But
being a movie about kind of like fatherhood, um, with Yondu being a father figure and
right.
essentially raising Quill, Ego being the actual father. I think there was room to maybe squeeze in Thanos with Gamora because she's essentially useless in that movie. Um,
As is Nebula for the most part, you know.
yeah, I'm still convinced Nebula is going to be the one to kill Thanos. By the way, that's what I've been saying since Guardians
Well,
one,
so
and
that's. I mean, I don't know. You mean you're tracking on the comics, correct? And it being
not necessarily. It just makes sense. Plus, I kind of it kind of silently confirmed it when she remained. I was like, okay. And then the whole torture scene, which was amazingly directed, um, just the
right.
camera angles and everything, just
Yeah.
that I was like, okay, she's probably pretty pissed now, going through that.
Yeah. So in the comics, Nebula is the one that gets the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos, and then
Mm,
she does her thing, snapping her fingers, and undoes everything that Thanos did. That's what
okay.
happens in the comics, and I don't know if that's where they're headed with the movies, but like you said, she's alive at the end, so it kind of makes sense that she might get to that point, which I think would be a really fun character arc for her, because now you get to see like her kind of get her revenge and also fix the universe because she started off as this
You'd have to
villainous
kill her
character.
after that. I feel like I feel like her stories ends with ending Thanos.
For Nebula, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like Gamora could evolve and grow and become something more, but Nebula's too consumed by
Yeah.
by her hatred, and that ending Thanos is ending her. It's just I've done my part.
No, I agree with everything you're saying there. I mean, that's honestly, I mean, the characters, the way they've written character of Gamora and Nebula, their character traits are a little interchangeable. And obviously, Gamora being the love interest of Peter Quill, yeah, you don't really need Nebula. She doesn't really add much to the Guardians. She's a woman that punches things and uses swords and stuff. Like Gamora does
It's
that.
got a
You know what I
7 of 9 kind of.
Yeah, she's got her 7 of 9 face, and like we don't need that. Like adding Mantis, I thought was cool because she has like abilities and she's more quirky and kind of funny, and each one of them kind of has their own thing. But Nebula and Gamora are so similar in a lot of ways, at least from the MCU perspective. That yeah, you're right. They don't really need to have her either kill her off or she just goes off and does her own thing, or maybe snapping the fingers blows herself up or something because she's a
So
robot lady.
so this leads into a quick tangent about Guardians 3,
Yeah,
because apparently there's going to be a change of roster. I think it makes sense that Thor is going to be integrated into the Guardians at this point,
yeah.
especially because I'm assuming they're going to kill Rocket because he's the only Guardian left, and Rocket's kind of just pointless now. Everyone can understand Groot, or Thor can understand Groot at least. Rocket's kind of been overused, and he's not that funny, and he was kind of annoying. I think he annoyed me in the first one,
Yeah.
and then when I've been talking to people now, they kind of got annoyed of him in the second. So maybe we've done enough of him. So if they were to integrate Thor into the Guardians, they could also bring Valkyrie in, which is an interesting female character.
She's a very interesting female character, and she's very different from Gamora and Mantis, you know, in a lot of ways. And you got to think though,
She's an
because Thor,
alcoholic.
you're right, she's an alcoholic, but you got to think like Thor, like there's no more Thor movies. Like
Yeah,
Thor doesn't have a thing anymore. Like Loki's gone, Asgard's destroyed, his dad's dead, Heimdall's dead. Most of, if not all of the Asgardians are gone.
yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a story anymore.
There's like Valkyrie left and Korg, which aren't technically, well, Valkyrie's kind of an Asgardian, but they're just the Revengers essentially.
Yeah, the Revengers are left, and I assume maybe a handful of Asgardians. But yeah, I mean, you also got to think because Xandar is destroyed too, and so you got the situation where, and they were kind of like the intergalactic police force, you know, the Xandar folks. And now that they're gone, there's going to be a power vacuum post Thanos situation. Because I don't think she's going to snap back. I think they're only going to snap back to before he did the snap himself. I don't think they're going to snap back to the beginning of Infinity War, where before he destroys Thor's ship. I don't think she's going to do that. Even though she could, because she's got the time thing, if she gets the gauntlet, if Nebula gets
I
the
mean,
gauntlet.
I think Loki's confirmed dead now.
Yeah, I don't think Loki's coming back. And if he does, I would be really upset if he did. I
I think this is it. But
the work he
he
did.
he says no more resurrections.
Right, right. So I think that it was well done. Tom Hiddleston did a great job. Loki was a great character. He really grew it from where he was in Thor 1 all the way up to his death in this movie. And I think that was a good ending for him.
Which I think could have been handled better.
Really?
Personally, yeah. Dude's a trickster god, and he's got mad powers.
Yeah.
And they've shown that in multiple movies, multiple times. And all he did was like create a dagger, and then just tried to stab Thanos. I think he could have deserved a bit of a scene. Like a bit of a fight sequence against Thanos where he tries to use his power, like he duplicates stuff. I don't know, he tries to use all the tricks and tries to really get to him. But then they show you the power of Thanos and the power of he's just got 2 gems at that point.
Yeah. So I agree with you, but maybe I'm inferring a little bit too much. Maybe I'm interpreting a little bit too much here. Because Loki has already been in league with Thanos in the past, in regards to the stones, I think Loki is fully aware of what Thanos' ultimate goal is with the snapping of the fingers and the destruction of half the universe. I honestly took it as Loki was self-sacrificing himself in order to ensure that Thor lived, because they are the 2 last surviving Odin's sons, so if he were to snap his fingers, only one of them would stay alive. But because there's only one left, Thor is pretty much guaranteed that he won't die. That's the way I took that.
I saw it as half the life of the galaxy. Okay, so you think only one of the 2 would die?
So yeah, that's the way. Maybe I'm interpreting that the wrong way, because he said
I would have thought both could disappear or both could live, especially considering one is not really Odin's son. He's a frost giant.
That's true.
I mean, they could have given us his form as a frost giant just once.
blue Loki punching him in the face. Yeah.
Become like a blue giant Loki trying to punch. Yeah, no, that would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome. So I don't know. I don't know. Or if maybe maybe pre-snapping, maybe removing the snapping of the fingers altogether, but because I assume in that moment because Valkyrie is supposedly still alive, so is Korg, and Thanos in that moment was killing half of the Asgardians that were left on the ship. As he was doing that balance thing. And you could even remove the snap thing and just say that because in that moment there were 2 Odin sons, biological or not, but there were 2 Asgardian princes on that ship. Only one of them is getting out of there because Thanos is all about balance. And he essentially sacrificed himself in order to ensure that Thor made it out. That's the way I kind of interpret, because you're right. The dagger makes no sense. He doesn't use any powers. He has no reason to try to kill Thanos because he knows he's not going to be able to do it. There's no other reason to do it other than it was intentionally sacrificing himself to save Thor. That was the only way I could imagine it making any sense, because you're right, the dagger made no sense. Like, he already knows the power of the Tesseract stone because he wielded it for a minute, you know? So he knows that his stupid little dagger's not going to do anything, so it's got to be something more than that. That's the way I took it, at least.
Okay, I never thought of it that way. I just thought that it was kind of underwhelming that I was very happy to see Loki die, and it was a very emotional scene, the way he kind of squirms like that. He's all weaselly. and he just drops him to the ground like nothing, like a piece of trash. I thought it was very well done. I just would have preferred him to go out with a bit more of a bang before we got to that. But then maybe it was an intentional sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's just that it's taking things to a very literal um level. I mean, so essentially you think that the finger snap that Thanos does, he doesn't just kill half the people in the galaxy, he kills exactly half of the humans, exactly half of the Kree.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the way I interpreted it. And the reason I say that is for two reasons. I say that is number one, when they're showing the flashback with Gamora, they literally have half of the population on one side and half the population on the other, and they kill one group. So that's literally half of them are left.
So there's a population of like 100 people.
Well,
But
yeah, of whoever's left of him destroying the planet. Right, exactly. That's a separate nitpick of Thanos' plan, of his kind of stupid plan. But there's the other scene where he is talking to Tony Stark. I think it's right after he stabbed him with the sword, and he says, "Half after I'm done, half of humanity will remain, and I hope that they remember you." So that was very specific to say half of humanity will remain, as opposed to some of humanity will remain. And maybe I'm reading too much into that, but that was what
essentially,
I thought they were implying.
the snap isn't something that he can't control. He's literally deciding what the snap does as he snaps his fingers.
Right.
So he's deciding to save half of every race or half of every world out there.
Correct. Like of whatever Korg's race is, rock people, half the rock people are dead. You know, if there's 10 rock people, 5 of them are disappear, and there's 5 left.
Okay.
That's the way I interpreted it. But maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's the way I viewed it. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, moving on. We're moving on. Let's talk about things that I really missed out on. I wanted to see more Captain America.
Oh well, I mean that's just because we're Captain fanboys. But yeah, I got shivers when he showed up for the first time.
Oh, when I went and saw it opening weekend, when he shows up, the whole theater just erupted. It was mayhem when he rolls
Cap
in.
has
Everyone's
arrived.
like, you messed up now, and
Which is stupid because he's just some guy
he doesn't
with
even
a
have the
shield.
shield anymore. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, literally, he's just some
He's all
dude with a shield.
business. He's all business all the
Um,
time. He's got the
and
business beard and the business hair. He's all business.
I
Okay.
think that if they want to use him effectively in part two, they can't use his powers as such. They have to use him as a leader. He has to be
Right.
like the team leader. He has to give orders, tell them what to do, tell them not to swear, and
Language. That's right.
the kind of things that they drop after one movie. but yeah, I didn't. Yeah, we didn't see enough of him. But then I mean, yeah, we got a lot of War Machine. We got a lot of
I know. That's the thing. Is like
what's his face, Falcon.
we got so much. We got more Falcon than we needed. And I don't know. It's just like when I really think about the sequences that Captain America were in that didn't include him punching those creepy alien things in the face. Like he had less than maybe 6-7 minutes of screen time, if not less. You know, almost
Well,
all of his sequences were him just punching those alien things in the face.
the first time I saw the movie, okay, so just on a side note, the first time I saw the movie, I felt the editing was really choppy. I was like, there's so much happening at the same time that I'm having trouble wrapping my head around it. The
Yeah.
second time I saw it, the pacing and works a lot better. Now that you pretty much know where everyone's going, what they're doing, it flows a lot better the second time. Anyway, the movie is basically Iron Man trying to fix this in space.
Right.
And then, oh, by the way, this thing's happening on Earth just to show us, you know, what our ground level Avengers can do. And this Thor actually trying to do something somewhere.
Right.
That's essentially the movie. But then Thor got a little awkward because of Peter Dinklage's just presence, which is just too Tyrion for me.
So that whole
That
okay.
ripped me out of the movie right there. But
Down the list of things that I did not like. So it didn't get enough Captain America. Didn't do
the movie is very Iron Man.
The movie is very Iron Man heavy. Iron Man and Thanos heavy. Like it's kind of like their movie. But Robert Downey's their chief flagship guy. I mean, I'm sure they probably agreed to some amount of screen time for him to get paid a shit zillion dollars. But um,
and a
so
half.
so yeah, and so we didn't get enough of that. We didn't get Cap time. We didn't do the Nat and Hulk redo thing. It was a lot of Iron Man thing, and then the Peter Dinklage cameo thing was rough for me for two reasons. Number one, you're right. Peter Dinklage now just comes through. He chews through screenery. He doesn't hide anymore. Like you recognize Peter Dinklage immediately. You can't not see him as Tyrion Lannister. He's just there.
The crazy thing is, I used to see him as Tyrion. Now I see him as literally Peter Dinklage.
Right, he's
Like
just Peter Dinklage.
when he's in a movie, because he was in one of those terrible X-Men movies.
Right.
But it was literally Peter Dinklage in a suit,
Right, just
walking
talking
around being a bad guy.
Yeah.
Or a random guy, I can't even remember. But I was like, oh god, it's Peter Dinklage. I was like, I love the guy. I think he's a good actor. He's very nice, but it's just that I don't know. He rips me out of a movie now.
Yeah, you're right. I agree 100%. And so him being in there ripped me out of the movie. And then the whole thing with the star being stopped and the fact that Thanos killed 299 other dwarves except for Peter Dinklage goes against the character that they've established as Thanos. Like, it would make sense if Thanos then killed half of the dwarves. Like,
Yeah.
why would he kill all of the dwarves? And then I could say, like, okay, maybe he was doing that to prevent anyone from creating a weapon that could potentially just defeat him in his Infinity Gauntlet war. But then why would you leave alive the only guy who could potentially do that? Like, he's the
With
one
a
that
mold.
built you the friggin' gauntlet. Of course he knows how to friggin' build a weapon that can defeat it.
With a mold of the gauntlet just lying around as well.
Right, the mold's hanging out, and the mold of the giant Stormbreaker axe also just lying around. Why wouldn't you destroy that? Like that to me
The
was
thing
like,
is, he
make
didn't
no
kill.
sense.
He didn't kill half his Asgardians. Okay, he technically did kill half the Asgardians, but he didn't do it in the same way he did all the rest. Because all the other, like, it's pretty much explained that the way he killed half of Gamora's planet is he literally he separates them, kills half.
Yep.
The Asgardians, half are still alive because they escaped on escape pods and ships and shuttles and shit. But
Well, we're assuming so. We didn't see
well,
that.
that's what they're saying. But if you would have, that's what they're saying. If you would have taken it at face value,
Yeah.
he pretty much just rolled up and blew the ship up,
Yes.
which is just a total annihilation of everyone on there.
Right.
Yeah, which isn't a half and half. So it seems like he's trying to accomplish a general half and half. But if you get in his way, he'll just break you.
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, what is 299 dwarves to the entire galaxy?
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, because it also makes no sense. Why would he
Dwarves.
decimate? Yeah,
But-
dwarves. Right. Why would he decimate Xandar? Like, I mean, I know he was looking for the stone, which he got, but so he killed everyone on Xandar. Also, Xandar, if I remember from Guardians of the Galaxy 1, was filled with races from all different parts of the galaxy. So did he like line everybody up and kill like half of those people like in different groups, or was it just half the people on that planet in that
That's
moment?
too long. That's
You
too
know,
long.
it's just I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So it was like a little bit like, what the fuck is going on with this Thanos
then-
plan?
Because then he rolls up to get the because he murders the collector.
Right. Who's got the red stone, the reality stone? I think that's when that one is.
So the collector is where? He's in nowhere, isn't he?
He's in nowhere. Yeah, and he kills everybody in nowhere.
He killed
apparently.
everyone in nowhere.
Right. Killed everybody.
Because that's
in nowhere.
burning.
Yep.
So he has a. I think it's like a more of a general idea. Like once I've done this, once I've done what I have to do, then I can do the finger snap and kill half of each kind of race that's left. But all of the all of the ones that got him away, well, then I'll just
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah,
It's fine.
exactly. It's I don't yeah. It's gotta be
Because then the
balanced.
crazy thing is, like, assuming Ebony Maw would have lived, how many others are from his race?
That's a great question.
If it even is a race, because maybe
Right.
because Thanos, Thanos is the only guy left. Why he could have died.
Right.
Ebony Maw might have been the only guy left, or maybe there was just him and some other dude, hiding out on a planet, and Ebony Maw died, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, now it's just one. Well, hold on a second, Thanos, because if you leave me with just one person, now I can't reproduce and make a new race. So is it one man and one woman? How does it work? How is he
Yeah.
figuring this out? It doesn't make any sense.